today's video is going to be a library book haul, and I'm not sure whether to whisper or do soft-spoken. I think I'll probably do a little bit of a mix, but let me start with the books that I have to return, so the books I've already read. This is Rachel Harrison. Those A's trip me up. Black Sheep. And I picked this book up because I read her other book called Cackle, and I was a big fan of it. It's like horror, but like lighthearted and fun. And this is pretty similar in theme. The other book was about witches, and this book is about like Satanism. But this was a nice palate cleanser because I do read a lot of more serious nonfiction, so this was just like a fun little book for Halloween. It's not like the greatest book ever written, but I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I read it in one day. It's pretty short. It's like not even 300 pages. I'm sitting at like a really awkward angle because I'm in the bedroom with my bed, and I really like this duvet. I might do a video with it. And then, alright, next book. I'm getting off track. I have a lot of books. But this is King Leopold's Ghost by Adam Hochschild? Hochschild? I want to say Hochschild because I feel like that's more common of a name. But this is a nonfiction book. This is a very, like, serious, kind of horrifying nonfiction book about the Belgian Congo. And it took me a little while to get through this book because it's gruesome. But it's also a subject I didn't know too much about, and I think that this was a good jumping off point. And I always like to read books about stuff that, like, I'm not super familiar with. And then before that, I read Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which is a super popular book. It's like a horror thriller book. I really like this book. I know it has mixed reviews, but I liked it. I picked up quite a few horror adjacent books for Halloween, and this was one of them, and I really liked this. And of course it's past Halloween and I still haven't read some of them, but you know, my planning is not always fantastic. But those are the books I've read and that I am going to return. So now onto the books that I haven't yet read. I have this one's, the library name is huge. The Indifferent Stars Above. The Harrowing Saga of a Donner Party Bride by Daniel James Brown. And this is nonfiction about the Donner Party. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. I'm not gonna go in detail about that. It's not super relaxing. And then I have Werner Herzog's like memoir autobiography, Every Man for Himself and God Against All. So this is nonfiction, obviously. This book, I think, like just came out, but I'm a fan of his films. Well, some of his films, I haven't seen all of them, but I am a big fan of Fitzcarraldo. I always thought that movie was so crazy. Yeah, new. It's new. It's new. It's new. But I don't know. I've been reading a lot of books that are related to film and like specific filmmakers, actors, directors, producers. Because I love books, but I love film even more. So I think that's going to be interesting. And then next up, I have a fiction book. This is North Woods by Daniel Mason. And I'm really excited to read this book because a friend of mine read it before I did, and she said it was really good, and that I'd probably really like it. And I know that this book also very recently came out. Well, new. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I think it'll be good. I'm seeing a lot of really good reviews about this book. It is a sweeping novel about a solitary house in the woods of New England, told through the lives of those who inhabit it across the centuries, a daring, moving tale of memory and fate. I'm a big fan of novels that cover a lot of different generations. Okay, let's move on to another horror or crime, like horror adjacent, I think. This is Out by Natsuo Kirino. I should really look up how to pronounce these author names before I do these videos, but I never do. I always forget until I'm doing the video. This has been on my to-read list for a really long time, probably like 5 or 6 years. I'm finally gonna read it. Yeah, this is more crime than horror, based on the description. This, I believe, is a little bit more horror or horror adjacent. This is The Woman in the Dunes by Kobo Abe, I think. I've seen the film, but I saw the film like years and years ago. But I always wanted to read the book. This is In the Garden of Beasts. Love, Terror, and an American Family in Hitler's Berlin by Eric Larson. This is nonfiction. Eric Larson is a fantastic nonfiction writer. If you didn't know, I don't know, I feel like if you read nonfiction you probably already knew that, but he's also one of the like more popular nonfiction authors. And I'm kind of slowly getting through his bibliography. But I think that this is going to be an interesting book. My favorite book by him is Isaac Storm, because I like books about hurricanes and weather. And that book honestly got me back into reading, and especially reading nonfiction as an adult. And that was a few years ago. Well, a little more than a few years ago at this point, but Isaac Storm really got me back into like actively reading so much from the time when I was a teenager. Then I have a fiction book. This is Death Valley by Melissa Broder. This is another recent book. Very short book. Oh yeah, I don't even think. It's like a little over 200 pages. I love these newer books because they have the like fresh laminated jacket. And I really like those crinkle sounds. But yeah, I have quite a few new books in my stock. And then I have How to Say Babylon, a memoir by Sophia Sinclair. This, I think, is the book I'm going to read next. This is a new book as well. And then I have Homesick for Another World, and I really genuinely don't know how to pronounce this author's name. Otessa Moshfa? I don't know. I've read 2 of her other books, and it's like, at what point do I just look up the pronunciation? I think I'll do that after I film this video. And then I'll finally know what's wrong. But she's the author of My Year of Rest and Relaxation, which is a popular book. And I really like that book. I know it's controversial. Some people really hate it. But I liked it. And then Eileen, which is a movie coming out based on it. But I like that one too. So this is a collection of short stories. And then I think I'm also going to read, I don't have it checked out, Lapfona, I think is the title. There's another book by her that has like super controversial reviews. Some people really hate that book. But apparently it's pretty raw and graphic, so I guess we'll see. And then I have another book which is super popular. It's kind of like I'm at this point like reading all these books that everyone has been talking about for a few years, and I just am getting around to all of them now. This is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. Stories from a South African childhood. This is like a memoir, autobiography type book. And Trevor Noah was on The Daily Show, which I was never really a big fan of. I don't really like shows like that, like not talk shows, like late night shows. But this book has like really good reviews and is super highly praised, so I'm hoping that I like it. I think in the very least I'll find it fascinating and interesting. Okay, then I have, this book is like really heavy for some reason. This is The Blue Machine, How the Ocean Works by Helen Sarsky, I think. I hear someone like yelling in the hall. No, I don't think it's gonna pick up on camera. This is a non-fiction book about the ocean. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the nature, weather. I mean, this isn't weather, but it's like weather adjacent book. How many times am I gonna, sorry, I just hit you. How many times am I gonna say adjacent in this video? I don't know, I think that's people yelling outside. Well, they better be quiet. And then I have 2 more books left. This is Tomy by Junji Ito. I have never read any of his books. I don't know why, because it seems super up my alley, but this is manga. I actually don't know if I can show this on, maybe like a little bit. I don't know, it's like horror manga, so I don't wanna, it's not relaxing, unless you really like horror. But this is what I'm gonna start with for his books, his novels. I don't read a lot of manga. I don't think I actually ever read any manga. I do read some graphic novels here and there, so I'm not really sure. I would assume it's just called a novel or a volume. I'm not sure. Okay, and then I'm uncomfortable sitting here. My next book is huge. And this is nonfiction. Operation Paperclip, the secret intelligence program that brought Nazi scientists to America by Annie Jacobson. But this is a long book. I have a lot of World War II going here. And by a lot, I think I just mean 2 books. But this book sounded really interesting. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. No, maybe not. I'm sitting on the floor, so I have to kind of figure out where I'm gonna film, because I don't know if I'm gonna love sitting. Like, this is a really weird angle and I'm super hunched over, but this is the area where I keep all my books, so it's just easier. I keep them on my nightstand by my bed. But that is all I have for my books, and I hope that you enjoyed this. If you're reading anything good, let me know. I am always looking for book suggestions. I just can't get enough of books, especially if it's nonfiction. Although I think I'm probably gonna start reading more classics, you know, like Settle Down for winter. What the heck is that sound? I have no idea. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video.